Saga TV community, and we are into today's political analysis. I don't know whether you've seen the number of times Ruto has finally had to go to HOMABAY alone without Kindiki and playing a close arm to Wanga. No wonder Wanga was shouting at Sifuna. You will not be surprised. Somebody has said that when you want to court a woman, you have to do extraordinary aspects. So this is a political courting. And possibly in 2027, we may be in for a rude shock, you know. Currently, you know that ODM is a gun that cannot shoot, you know. So let's go down deep into the story. So there is something cooking. There's something cooking, guys, and we have to watch out for it. What is that? That's why I'm here today to unveil the stories that are coming up. And welcome to Live Saga TV once more. All right. Okay. So I'll give you some few minutes because I know most of you are coming, but know that RUTO has attended another official opening meeting at HOMABAY. They are opening the devolution, the official opening of Devolution Conference 2025, right? So devolution is something that has filled our ears all the time. It has hit our walls all the time, and we are always convinced that devolution is there for a purpose. In my perspective, I don't know why I see it as a bargaining ground for individuals. Because as far as devolution has been used to actually bring development to the citizens, it's unfortunate that some people are using it for the negative purposes, just to empower themselves, to build their homes, and forget about the poor people who are suffering out there. If you have learned the Samaritan, you understand. There is a day whereby Mosi was pointing out at Ted and Seima and reminding them, you too came in power as Jiga-infested hoodlums. How can you now account for the state of art cars that you now drive and the Porsche homes that you normally have and the exchange of wealth from one end to another? So currently, if you ask me, anybody else would bargain anything for political position. Why? Because they're actually seeing the fruits through the few who represent us. As far as political leadership in past was seen as representation of the people, currently you will take a long time to explain to somebody to understand that they actually have political leadership as representation. In Kenya, currently we are seeing political leadership as a way to enrich yourself and maybe the few are surrounding you. And that is why, guys, political times are very wild. People going about fighting and all that. Karibu. All right. Welcome, Karibu indeed. I don't know which country you're from, but I really appreciate your presence here. And I would like to urge that you stay put up to the end. So, of course, yesterday we saw something to do with Jamaica, jail PNP, after they announced their elections as 3rd of September. And PNP were like, they are going to win big time. And JLP are behind holiness, of course, and they are saying holiness will go back. So we don't know, but we are going to wait for it. Musa Sachs, Bobby 123, welcome on board. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate your presence, your love, and always coming back to this channel. If you've not subscribed, consider subscribing to the channel, guys. And we will be here for almost 1 hour, just checking into 1 or 2 things about our political systems and sometimes talking about other countries. I don't know what is in Cameroon. Oh, all right. Magda Olivia says, my name is Casey. All right, welcome on board. Thank you. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's progress through this political journey. It's a hard journey, but it's sweet sometimes when you come to understand what is behind the people's motives and actions. Then you are in for surprise. So Kenyans are asking, why HOMABAY all the time? And every time Ruto is going to HOMABAY, he's going as man solo, guys. And he's always doing things that a president has never done before. Will you be in for a rude shock? Let's see this. Now, It's called romantic journey, and people sometimes in a romantic journey have to do things you did not expect them to do. Now, of one of the things that you will discover about the Kalenjin people, and I'm sorry if you're part of them, but most of them don't want to be romantic in public. However, Ruto has decided to go romantic politically in public. And let's check this. Let's check this and how the president had to serve fish among the Luo people. Fish is a representation, a significant image among the Luo people. Now, when he serves fish, what does he mean? Is he trying to communicate that this is the goodies that will be coming to Nyanza come 2027? I'm not so sure. Let's look at this. Guys, as you can see in this, the president is serving, and guess who is there? Gladys Wanga. All right. So Millie Ojambo, where are you, bad girl? So here Ruto had to serve fish. Can you imagine? Yeah, Ruto had to serve wretch. The president actually had to serve wretch. Let's go in deeper so that you don't say I was just showing one part. Let's check deeper into this. All right. So what comes to your mind, what comes to your brain, or rather to your mind, if you see the president serving fish in HOMABAY? And he has kept going there. The fish here is actually symbolic to me. Kelvin Jenga, hey, welcome on board. Like the video. Magda Olivia, also called Casey, you did not like the video because we still have 2 likes, yet we have 4 people chatting here. So thank you for liking the video. Anybody who did like, subscribe to the channel, continue on liking. I'm very fine, Kelvin Jenga. How about you? Karibu sana on the channel, and we are into Kenyan politics. How about the fish? Do you think we have moved away from the cake and chapatis and we are now serving fish? What do you think, Kevin Jenga, or Mosax Bobby, or Magda Olivia, who's also saying I call her Casey? Flat Karibo, what do you think? Thank you for the like. I can see the 3rd like, and I'm still waiting for more. Thank you, guys. And I'm happy for your great love and your presence always on this channel as we do our political analysis in... we smile when we do that, though sometimes things are bitter and we are facing tough economic times. We don't have an option but just to sometimes smile and appreciate that we are alive. So guys, what comes to your mind if you keep seeing the president in HOMABAY and all he has to do is pick a spoon, a long spoon, and cook for us fish and serve it? What message are we getting from this? What message are we getting from this? I wish to know. Type on the comment section. Kevin Jenga has said, I'm good. Achana na El Chapo. He's one of the kind of president. He is interested kwa tumbo too. He's not interested kwa tumbo too because he will tell you about tumbo, but he himself, what is he doing? E-Citizen is gone. E-Citizen with the row that we are seeing. He fills his pocket because he has a target to ensure that his inheritance will long live with a lot of our money. He's going to create a wealth for his family. So he's also interested in having that economic empowerment of his own family. And he has begun moving around the country cheating that he's actually listening to the people in dialogues and discussion. But the reality is quite different. He takes notes and pretends to be so serious in meetings, just like what happened yesterday in the International Youth Day. But the reality is that will he act? No. So for us, of course, we'll be fooled by stomach affairs. He comes around, he cooks some things people eat, and the day is gone. Like what happened at State House, people are given soda, water, and all that, And at the end of the day, there was some food poisoning that happened, of course. He goes to Nairobi, talks about chapati. People think about the chapati that will be available and they forget. So it is a way of fooling citizens to focus on the simple things while he eats into our pocket. I don't know if somebody has discovered, even the bundles are now running very fast, and we were told as the year was starting, the economic year was, financial year was starting, they told us clearly that they are going to raise even that. Kevin Jenga says he ain't. We should put someone who has qualification in economics. Yes, because he is only concerned about enriching himself. That is what I'm saying. He himself plus the people, Farouk, Sudi, and no wonder Sudi and Farouk are swearing to do anything to fill the baskets. You look at the Isiolo lady, she was saying that because she is working towards filling her pocket. So people are actually looting all over the places, because I've never heard in any government where you want to force people to use one platform to pay for every service. That every government service, and they were even forcing things to do with school fees, that it should go through e-citizen. Now e-citizen has turned out to be a scam, but they are still protecting it. The reality we know, that there is something else. So, of course, for him, he keeps telling us that he's investing in economic empowerment of the women to realize their full potential and drive the country's sustainable development. Yeah, this is the message he's saying when he was at State Lodge, HOMABAY, with grassroots women leaders of Siaya, Kisumu, Migori, and HOMABAY. That is the message he said. Previously, while at Kakamega, he said the same thing. And when he went to Kisii and which other place, he still insisted. The reality on the ground, I am a woman, I've not been empowered by RUTO in any way. I'm still suffering, taking loans, which sometimes you find it so hard to pay. You go about your business, you sell some products, you don't get customers to buy because people don't have money. And you come back to the house and spend a night with a lot of migraine, the head banging left, right, because you have trouble in the house. And you have to know how to sort out the problems or suffer for it. Or they come collect your property, you know. These are the realities Kenyans are facing actually. Now look at this picture. It's not one time, it's not twice, it's not thrice. All the time, Gladys Wanga close to RUTO. Yeah? And smiling. And if you can ask yourself why Wanga was making a lot of noise about RUTO, you understand now, right? Now let's look at this. RUTO had to go to Gladys Wanga's backyard and prepare fish. And as I've told you, fish among the Luo has its significance, symbolic meaning, you know. It represents all that you need to have to survive, you know. Let's play this. All right. So what my questions now are is, what is the plan by opposition? As fish is being cooked around and we watch it being prepared, and some people have not even had time to buy fish because currently the economy is so poor and they are suffering and they are wondering. People are using this opportunity to go to tables and have dialogues and win for their pockets. And if you look at Mokaure was at one point trying to say he's representing the young people. Now, where did he go? Where exactly did he go? He went, he got his own part of the deal and kept quiet, you know. That's what is happening in Kenya. You go get your portion and keep quiet about everything else. We saw also Morara doing the same, right? Now, on the opposition, I've seen people having a trend of now trying to incite the government so that they get a portion. Look at the situation of Sifuna. I'm not so sure about his intention. I hope he has better intention for Kenya. Babu also, I don't know so far about his intention, because if they still hold on to Raila, and they say that Raila is their way. And yesterday we had a young Nyong coming up and telling us that Raila will be vying for presidential seat. Are they really focusing on Kenya's growth? Really? Like, really? Now, you look at Wamchomba, for example. Wamchomba has said that she's going to work with anyone in Kenya. She will go to any place in Kenya, because that it is what it is, you know. It is what it is. He is not interested in parties. That is what he said. But he's interested in... I don't know how practical that can be. Now, let's get to this discussion that was held on one of the TVs today, and let's just listen to what they are saying, especially on eCitizen.
Mapema. Lakini in this particular hour, we want to switch gears and talk about protests that we have experienced in this country, and of course, just if indeed we shall have any dialogue whatsoever. People are saying that it is important for us to have a dialogue, but there are those who are against that dialogue. And of course, in studio is none other than Professor Fred Ogola. He's a commissioner with PRJC. We are hoping Kasumwel will make it before we end the show. So Kasumwel, if you're hearing or listening, tafadhali chukua nduzi toka
quarreling with my parents. What are we dialoguing with? The dialogue here, I go to start telling my villagers, let's have dialogue over what? Have I stolen their cows? The issue here is that there is lack of accountability at the topmost office called State House. Understand?
Professor, you're being sarcastic. Of course, you've not stolen anyone's cows in the grassroots.
Yeah.
But I think what he meant was tusikize watu kwa ground wanasemaje, so that now
washasema, walisema kufa makanga, kufa dereva. Those words didn't come from me, isn't it? Lakini makanga alikufa, dereva bado yuko, alafu kaleta makanga mwingine, sivyo? So those news are not for me. Go to the ground ishasema. Ground are saying they want something different. Shu is not working. Education sector is not working. Tell me one thing that Kenya Kwanza has delivered with absolute precision. The only thing I know the president has done so far, which I have to acknowledge, is to motivate around the stars.
Okay.
Motivation he has given. Though that is not the way I'm looking at it, but he has motivated them.
Okay.
When someone goes, when he sees the ball coming next to him, he sees 1 million shillings. It's not different. It does not look the same as when you see a ball. Now, that's why I need to be your president. Now, we come now to the
yes.
Second one is E then V, value addition. We are exporting 80% of our products in raw materials. We are not waking up the sleeping giants of the economy. If we do that, we will be okay. The next one from E talk about O, optimize talent. How can we, instead of jailing these youths and abducting them and disappearing with them, tell them to solve for you, Sha. If you give these young people 200 million shillings, like this is your salary for 1 month.
Yes.
You give them enough to tell them, develop for us a system for Sha. They'll do it. If with AI they can document what Parliament should do, just one person can come with a system to tell you how Parliament should be tracking their work. Then you arrest that person, Jerry's case, isn't it? With AI, they can even create you in the grave. Understand? They can do anything. So why are you giving 104 billion shillings to somebody in India to do for you what Kenya can do? So sports, musics, arts, technology, invest in those things. These people get jobs because after.
You need to understand what I'm saying. I'm not saying that we have
yes, perfect.
and we have good politicians.
Yes, we do. Whom we elected.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
Are they not the same people who are supposed to give us these things that we know we want?
They are.
Okay, so now, if we know what we want, why do we elect people who, by experience and by what we've seen, will not give you what you want? And we keep electing them, and then we say we know what we want. Yeah. Don't you see the contradiction there?
I don't think there's a contradiction. The contradiction maybe arises from the point at which we have the discussion. I've been following, and Prof has really held his fort quite well. And you guys, I think this is a productive conversation. But if we're talking about jobs, ideally governments world over don't create jobs.
And we know this to be true. The whole idea of a government has only maybe 800 jobs, and the replacement if the discussion about government performance is going to begin with government creating situations, opportunities, that particular ship sailed. Yes. The problems that Kenyans have are not problems in secret, they're in the public domain. Right. What
All right.
problems is money, usually. Yes.
So I really played that part just to make you understand that some Kenyans are aware about what you want, but there are those who are not. Now, if you look at Makore currently protecting the government, you realize that what I was saying is true. When you talk about dialogues, dialogues give an opportunity to 2 people or 3 to go and bargain, kill a bargain. And that is what happens even to teachers or the nurses or doctors or the police. They have few people who call themselves party representatives or union representatives, and they go ahead and sit down with the people in high offices, then receive a big baggage, possibly millions. And they sacrifice these citizens who are crying and suffering on the ground. And that is why you'll never see teachers satisfied. Never. Because those who call themselves their representatives are representing their stomachs and families and pockets. So the reality is that people go there and say that they are Kuppet or they are not, and they are representing teachers, they are fighting for salaries. Then in ridicule, they come out and say teachers' salary increased. I don't know how many millions given. And then Kenyans just see those millions. But the reality is that the teacher on the ground will go get 100 bob addition on their salary. Why does this happen? Because dialogues give room for few people to be compromised. And you can see Makore here now supporting the government, saying they have given jobs and all, they can't be in a position to offer people jobs. But our question is, Kenya has a lot of money. And I'm happy that yesterday one young person challenged the president and told them Kenya is rich. We don't have to rely on money from other countries. We don't have to keep adding a weight of debt on ourselves. Because if people are able, for example, the president was able to actually have, was it how many billions that he was allocating for the church? If, for example, Oscar Sudi was able to raise 1.5, was it 15 million for Kapsaret empowerment? If, you know, every day we have these politicians coming up and saying, this is my money, it's not the government's money. How difficult is it for them actually to pay teachers well and motivate them so that most of them are not interested to go away? Some are interested. Currently, some are filing and going to take the caretaker jobs. Personally, I'm even interested in that because I cannot keep struggling for 40 years as a teacher just on a slim salary. Something that you enhance students, they go through the system, finish, and they come out as better, but you are stuck and they are calling it, it's a calling. Yeah, it's a calling. It's a calling. Just do your job. It's a calling. Yeah, God will bless you. How will you, for heaven's sake, be blessed when we need money to pay for our children's fees? How will you be blessed when we need money? We need money. We don't just need blessings. Blessings come from God and God blesses everybody. But when you look at individuals, we need cash. I need cash to buy a car. I need cash to buy a plot. I need cash to build a house, and not little cash. Now, the maximum a normal teacher can acquire in a loan, the maximum, it is maybe 1.8 M. And they'll pay dearly 10 good years. 10. The teacher will sit down to pay 10 years, and at the end of the day, they'll have a minimal salary that is coming to their account. So every month, they'll struggle even to pay the maid. They'll struggle to pay fees for their kids because they have started a project of 1.8 million. But here we have a case of a citizen who was voted into office and they became a governor, an MCA, a president, and they have 1.8 billion just hanging. And they decide, yeah, this one I'm building a church. It's not a bad thing. But then, if you have such money, what are you trying to communicate to these people who are sacrificing and you are pushing them? Work, work, work. They have to go to work from, let's say, 7:30, and they leave work at 4. And when they go back to houses, they have nothing else to do. There is this other nurse, there is this other doctor, and what have you. So the reality is that the dialogues that have been formed in Kenya or are there, it's just a losing game. It's a losing game because it only rewards few people who go to the dialogue table. Let's say the Kupet, the NAT, I don't know, the OS, the NES, they come to the table and bargain for themselves, and they are told, you know what, we'll give you, because you are 5 of you, each of you will get 3 million shillings, and then you sign this agreement, and then we'll go out and announce that teachers have had addition of salaries, the police have had addition of salaries, the doctors have had addition of salaries. Then the strikes will not go on, the state will continue, but majority of citizens are suffering, because count how many teachers are represented by these few people who are greedy. People who are greedy and are no longer representing their rights because they are there to benefit themselves. So dialogue is good, but dialogue is also bad. And that is what I can say generally as we press ahead. Now, I brought that discussion because as far as we don't want protests, if dialogues are to be there, they should be dialogues that will actually benefit all Kenyans. You cannot tell me you are representing me as a leader in Kupet, you are able to build 3 good story houses a year, whereas me, a teacher whom you are representing, I take 10 years to build a normal house, not even a story. That equation is imbalanced. The question here is imbalanced, and I think so far the president and his people should think about how to help the citizens, because some of them are disillusioned. They go to class every day, they go to their offices every day, but they are disillusioned. They would wish for something else to happen in their lives. Now, of course, you saw Pierre Lumumba talking about the NADCO report, yeah, and saying that it's nonsense and what Kenya truly need is something else. I don't know what you think about this. Let me play this shortly before I go to the secret pact between Sifuna and Babu, Huru Matiang game, right? Here it is. Let's listen to Pierre Lumumba here.
We are joined by Professor P.L.O. Lumumba across the country, and as if I was a Jewish prophet. Look at the number of accidents that we have had this time. Is it because we don't have traffic rules? Is it because we don't have bylaws? I drive on Jogoo Road in Nairobi, and cows are grazing on rubbish. There are city council bylaws on what ought to happen. We have laws. The governor of Nairobi says at a public forum, I'm forming a company to employ 3,500 people. Looks good on paper, but on the basis of what law is he doing that? In other words, it is not a question of absence of laws. In fact, if we were to obey and to implement the laws we have, this would be El Dorado, the land of gold. But the reality is we have chosen to go the other way. Look at, if you permit me, this thing called NADCO. The President of the Republic of Kenya and the nominal leader of the nation, Mr. Odinga, signed something which is unconstitutional. It is extra-constitutional, and we don't say anything about it. All the things that are to be found in that document are in the Constitution. Why are we going outside of the Constitution? Why are Kenyans not complaining about it? It is because we don't love our country sufficiently. We are not patriots. Yesterday, I saw in La Côte d'Ivoire people coming out in the streets of Abidjan and telling their president, Alassane Ouattara, we don't want a fourth term. Here, we watch on television. There was a young men and women are being shot. So we must rise up. And I've seen Kenyans do it. I was there in the year 1990s when I was in the Council of the Law Society, when we were in the streets. Making demands of the Moi administration. I remember in the 2000 when we were making the constitution.
All right, guys, you heard Pierre Lumumba. We won't go into everything, but what I was just talking about. In Kenya, we are not patriotic and we are not focused towards improving everything for everybody. All we do is to represent ourselves. Look from your MCA. Look at your MCA, for example. How are the roads surrounding you? The normal roads that go into the grassroots. Look around your governor. How is the entire constituency looking like? Look at the women rep. I don't know what exactly women rep has to do. Whether it's to rep the economy, I don't know. Because so far, I do not see women reps coming out strongly to do what they were meant for. Why should individuals like Akote, like, I don't know, there's this lady, Will Watt, why should they be coming out, even demo Facebook, to distribute pads when we have women rep in the country? Why should we have women who don't have, up to now, jobs they should, like businesses they should be running, but they are still in houses and waiting for their husbands to bring something home in the evening? Why? That was their role. They were supposed to be there to represent women so that those who lack positions or rather opportunities get them. Do they go to the grassroots and really help people, even sensitize them on what they have to do? Do they even give women right information about their body, right information about their sanitary aspects, anything to do with how they empower themselves? How many women currently know that they have a right towards land in their homes? And how can they fight for that cause? Very few know, because the woman rep is sleeping on the job. They are sleeping on the job. Look at the MCA, for example. When we look at grassroots, roads have to be good. The grassroots, I'm talking of the grassroots, not the national roads. How many places do we see mud every day? You are walking to work or to the market or to the field, and you have to divert and use other people's land to cross over to the next level so that you go where you are going. How many of you have been forced to stop and cross a muddy place before the border picks you ahead because the grassroots roads are poor? How many of you have had your maize or your sugarcane being harvested and it's stuck on the road, slips on the road because the grassroots roads are poor? How many of you are lacking water and you are forced to go a distance to get this water on the grassroots? You know? Emmanuel Tambla, your expectations from government is not realistic. Kenya isn't a rich country. It is, Emmanuel Tambla. Kenya is a very rich country. It's a very rich country. If one individual can have 1.5 billion just hanging, and they call it's my personal money, then what are you saying? When you look at the MCAs at the grassroots, how many of them are raising storage houses? Within a year, somebody can construct 3 of them in different towns. How many? How much money goes to CDF and it's not used at the grassroots? It ends up in people's pockets. How many people are doing bridges, and a bridge that is quoted as 3 million is realistically on the ground 1 million shilling. So Emmanuel Tambla, unless you convince me that there is no money, but this other money is magic money found in people's pockets and doing their personal projects, then tell me. Because if someone is getting a salary of 1 million shillings, how comes they have 1.5 billion hanging somewhere and they can say this is just my money? How comes, for example, Sudi told us that whatever he had when he was going to Kapsaret, and that is not the only money he has, even if he collected from people, if people are willing to have that money, that means Kenya has money. And yesterday, if you listened at the youth forum, somebody told the president that Kenya is rich. Actually, Kenya is one of the countries that is rich. And even if we are not rich, how much money have we borrowed in the short period? How much money have we borrowed? And what have we done with that money? Yeah? Emmanuel Tambla says, Kenyans want roads, schools, everything. We are a developing country, and to make it worse, indebted. And that debt is what we are against, because that debt is picked, but we don't see where that money goes. And I think if you listen to the discussion on why NADICO report is nonsense and why what Kenya really needs from Pierre Lumumba, it was on Radio Generation. Today there is another discussion on empowering Kenyans or fueling whatever. Then there is another discussion on protest and dialogue, what goes on. Now I'm just giving you an example, Emmanuel Tambla. Look at the unions that represents people. I'll give you that simple example. Go find out. For example, those who represent university lecturers, those who represent nurses, those who represent Matatu, the Matatu Association, what do? They know that they can go into a meeting and be given 5 million each, 5 of them. So they sacrifice the people on the grassroots under them, whether it's teachers under Kuppet or not. And then the newspapers the next day will come up with a very large title, teacher smiling all the way to the bank. But the reality is that when the month ends, the teacher is still in tears, because what has been increased on their salary is 200 shillings. And the rest has been distributed to 4 years. So that is the reality and the irony of Kenya, the satire that we live in. And if, for example, if you look at the quotation of how much money is being lost on e-citizen, that one alone, let's talk about that. If all that money has been lost through e-citizen, what does that communicate? Kenya has money. Kenya has money. Only putting into good use is a problem. And these discussions and dialogues are good, but then the discussion and dialogues that are being held only serve the little few, the few that want to actually improve their lives. They know now that discussions such as those will give room for them to have a better life. They'll be able to buy a state-of-art, car. I started, Emmanuel Tambla, you need to go back to the beginning of my discussion, and you'll understand where I started from. Because if you see what happens is that the majority at the top have the cake or the fish or whatever it is, or the bread in their hands, and they know what to do to it. But if they were only letting that public funds to be used on the right aspects, then they wouldn't tell us. They would at least be doing it, improving the nation. Slowly by slowly, we have so many third countries that started from zero and they are somewhere today. Look at the Arabic nations, Gulf, for example, where was it? Look at Gulf, where was it? Libya. Look at those countries, where were they? But currently, they are better by far. Emmanuel Tambla says, even if corruption ended, mysteriously the government can't provide all those things Kenyans want. How much does Kenyan collect? They don't even reveal all that they collect. They only reveal what they want us to see. That is what I believe, because at this rate where they are collecting tax from the bundles to the drinks, to the food, to the road, to the sugarcane harvesting, to even houses. If I build houses, for example, I started a house in a certain town, and they come and they tell you they want you to pay 40,000 for approvals of a construction, a permanent, building. That means they collect a lot. In fact, what they try to show us on their platforms, that is not a true reflection of what they collect. You go to every market, travel from Mombasa to Busia borders or Mombasa to Ethiopia borders. We have people everywhere collecting tax for anything you are transporting. For example, if you are transporting, I've ever conducted business to do with timber. Where does that money go? Kenya is rich, Emmanuel, it's rich. And only if we use what we have to do the right things, because we have water, we have water all over the places. How many rivers do we have in Kenya? How many lakes do we have in Kenya? Those are enough resources. Go to Turkana, we have oil, and that fuel has been delayed. They are not drilling it for whatever reasons, Kenya has very different crops. Talking from the fruits, we have mangoes, we have avocados, we have all sorts of fruits are being collected from Kenya, but we are collecting them raw and taking them elsewhere to add value. When Kenya ourselves, we could add value and then we sell higher. We have cocoa in Kenya, we have coffee, we have tea leaves, we have sugarcane, yeah? We have sugarcane, we have maize, yeah? All over the places. We have beans, we have rice. Can you imagine such a country that has almost everything, but we have to keep going borrowing money elsewhere? And when that money is borrowed, it ends in the pockets of the few. All right. So, case one. Now, let's come to this discussion on Babu Owino. Babu Owino. We have a discussion on Babu Owino and Sifuna. Whatever moves they are making, I want to understand. And I actually would wish to have people like Emmanuel Tambla, or there was another person yesterday here who helped me to raise a very good conversation, right? Of course, as panic goes on with the IEBC chair, Etoken, is taken to court, you know. All of you know that. Kenyans have taken Ethekon to court. Maybe we can start with that before we go to the Babu discussion, right? Let's listen to this here. So this is the message right here. Petitioners, 6 petitioners have moved to High Court in Nairobi to challenge the independent IEBC over declining to process petitions seeking recall of MP. The MPs are named there. You can see Dennis Mwaki, Newton Mugambi, Morris Mawira, Agnes Mwende, Seth McKinoti, Christine Kanana, and all those, right? So there was a petition that was being held. There are 6 petitioners who have actually moved to court to raise accusations against the chair. I don't know how it will come about, but what do you think? Maybe you can type in the comment section as we listen to Sifuna here.
Unachagua next kwa hiyo category, si ndio? Haiwezekani mtu alikuwa kwa list ya PWD kwa mfano ameondoka, uende uchukue category ya workers. What that does is that it results in underrepresentation of the category that person was nominated. Sasa kuna kijana yako hapa Kajiado anaitwa Ketora. Ketora was the next person kwa list ambayo Mbadi alikuwa nominated. Mbadi was nominated under the category ya workers. Jamaa wakaenda wakachukua mtu kutoka kwa list nyingine wakamweka pale.
Those are the politics. Of course, you can see Ketora and all those discussions surrounding that. But meanwhile, you know very well that the chair of IBC has been taken to court by 6 petitioners. But Kenya, it is what it is, you know. Kenya, it is what it is. If the government really want Ethekon to do what he has to do, ignore those arguments, itasahauliwa na tusahau na tusonge mbele. That's what Kenya has to do. All right, so we want to go back to this Babu, Sifuna, Matiang'i, and all this. Let me just get to that. Let me look for it. I had it right here. Political discussions are sweet, but they really need you to research, you know. Really need you to research. I will sing this here. Where did this one go? So just give me some few minutes so that I check on what I was saying. Something to do with the Babu. And we'll then finally end with HOMABAY's today's visit. And of course, Malala is now mocking the compensation process and saying that, of course, they'll be asking you how much your dead child is. Hey, Kenyans, memes, hey. Let's go to it. I hope I'll get it. Babu, where are you? There was something, yeah, this one here. Let's check on it. So you saw this, I hope so. Did you see this? Did you see this? Of course, that is Hamisi, that is Babu, and that is Sifuna on the table, right? Sifuna, Hamisi, Babu on the table. And now this one has stirred emotions, people saying that there is Sifuna and Babu Uhuru Matiang'i allies meeting to leave RUTO. I don't know how true this is, but what do you think? Of course, we saw in this meeting, Hamisi was there, Babu was there, Sifuna was there, Wamchomba was there also. I saw her. Yeah, here she is. Wamchomba was there. Now we have that one there. I don't know who he is. You can let me know. All right?
You see, Anthony Kibagenti. Anthony Kibagenti.
Oh, that's Anthony Kibagenti. So we had Anton Kibagenti, that one here. Anton Kibagenti, we had Wamchomba there, you know. We had Sifuna, we had Hamisi, we had Babu, right there. Right? So in this meeting, of course, it's purported that it's a plan by Uhuru and Matiang'i to have their allies meeting to form a coalition so that they can fight strongly against Ruto and Raila. And Babu has always been praising Baba, but of late we had controversial stories from the four. Alright, Kibagendi did not actually stand out, but Babu came out recently on a radio station and showed his dislike for what is happening on ODM. Hamisi has shared that various times, including on Obina show, and we saw Sifuna, we saw Mchomba. So guys, it is cooking. It is cooking. Let's get ready for the news. Let's get ready for the news, guys. So, as we come to the end of today, I don't know what is in Jamaica. I like talking about Jamaica, but remember, we have been told Cote d'Ivoire, they are still on. Cote d'Ivoire, people are still on the streets protesting against the president wanting to force his position into office. Cote d'Ivoire. Let me just check and see whether they'll show something. All right, Cote d'Ivoire currently. Something for yesterday. I don't know whether I'll find it. Sometimes these countries have very limited news. Cote d'Ivoire on protests yesterday. Let me just check before I come back to, I don't know whether the bundles will allow. These people are eating really into our pockets. Yeah, here it is.
And for the last story, former President Laurent Gbagbo and the former Credit Suisse chief executive Tijane Thiam. Now, these include the former President Laurent Gbagbo and the former Credit Suisse chief executive Tijane Thiam. Now, angry and frustrated with the Commission's decision, last week thousands of Ivorians took to the streets of Abidjan.
We are demanding a revision of the electoral roll. We are demanding the reintegration of political leaders onto the list. We are demanding reform of the Electoral Commission. We are calling for fair elections in 2025. All these grievances have not been addressed by the government. So we came out to demand that the government reform its constitution.
Earlier this year, Gbagbo and Thiam joined forces to challenge Ouattara, who is seeking
Alright, so Gatara was actually challenged by a lot of people who felt that the term limits, the removal of the presidential term limit was very dangerous for Cote d'Ivoire. And of course, you can see all these people.
There is no distinction of political party. We are one people, and we have come to say yes and yes to the re-registration of President Laurent Gbagbo and President Tijane Thiam, and no to a fraudulent act, no to a fourth term.
Ouattara, you need to come so we can talk. Sorrow must return. Laurent Gbagbo is here. Tijane Thiam is here.
Alright.
Charles Bleak out.
So that is shortly on Cote d'Ivoire. Of course, that was one of the aspects that I dealt with long ago. And of course, in Jamaica, we still have more HOMABAY aspect.
Of political turmoils, protect him, my father, and give him a vehicle and a journey that will...
Let's see this. Okay, it is what it is. It is what it is. So Malala choosing to attack the president. That will be the last of our news today on Life Saga TV and as we prepare for tomorrow. So what do you think about Malala's attack here?
So far, what do you think?
All right. So, guys, I really appreciate your presence. Emmanuel Tambla was here with a lot of banker. Thank you. Kelvin Jenga too. Thank you. Flat Karibu and Magadu Oliver, who is Casey, was also here. We had Moses Bobby. Thank you for coming to the house, and I really appreciate you guys because with your presence, you make the discussion live, you know. You make the discussions really meaningful. So I'll be going back to Edutainment for Us channel by 2 because it is what it is. Hustling is not easy. So let me give myself a break before I can go back to it by 2. Thank you so much, and I really appreciate. Keep watching my other videos and you will be blessed.